Have you ever wondered what goes on inside a candy factory? Making Tootsie Rolls isn't just about mixing ingredients. It's an entire show with giant machines and candy ropes that twist like dancing snakes. Let's take a peek behind the scenes and discover how this iconic treat is made. A classic Tootsie Roll's ingredients are simple: sugar, corn syrup, partially hydrogenated soybean oil, condensed skim milk, cocoa, whey, soy lecithin, and both natural and artificial flavors. Sounds like a nice treat, but did you know these chewy little candies once saved the lives of U.S. Marines? Yep, they weren't just for snacking. Let me tell you a sweet story that happened during the freezing winter of 1950. In the thick of the Korean War, U.S. Marines found themselves trapped at the Chosin Reservoir, surrounded by enemy forces, and running out of ammunition. Desperate for help, they called for an airdrop of mortar rounds. But what was the code name for the ammo? Tootsie Rolls. You can probably see where this is going. Instead of explosive rounds, they received boxes full of actual Tootsie Roll candies. At first, it seemed like a huge mistake. But here's where things took a twist. The bitter cold had cracked their fuel lines, leaving their vehicles stranded. The clever Marines discovered that by softening Tootsie Rolls in their mouths, they could mold the candies and use them to patch up those cracks. The cold air then hardened the candies, sealing the fuel lines and getting their vehicles running again. Thanks to these handy little candies, the Marines were able to escape to safety. Now let's talk about the magic that happens in the manufacturing process. Here's a fun fact that might surprise you. Every Tootsie Roll you've ever eaten includes a bit of the original batch from 1908. How does that work? The company mixes a bit of yesterday's Tootsie Roll batch with today's. Theoretically, a tiny part of every Tootsie Roll you eat can trace its roots back more than a century. That's some real candy history for you. The first step in making a Tootsie Roll involves melting all the ingredients into a thick, sticky goo. This is heated up in giant cookers shaped like, you guessed it, huge Tootsie Rolls. This goo isn't quite like the candy you find in stores yet, but it's starting to take shape. Once everything's melted and blended, the Tootsie mixture is left to cool. This is done by the mixture being poured onto massive sheets where it thickens and solidifies. When the mixture cools down enough, it is formed into huge 13-pound Tootsie Logs. Imagine a Tootsie Roll that weighs as much as a bowling ball. That's what we're talking about here. Before we move on to the next steps in the process, if you're enjoying this video, take a second to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Now let's continue from where we left off. Once the Tootsie mixture cools and forms those 13-pound logs, that's where the extruder machine comes into play. The extruder is a massive machine that stretches and thins the Tootsie Logs into long ropes. Imagine pulling a piece of taffy. The extruder does something similar, except it's way more precise. The Tootsie Roll ropes are gradually thinned down to the right diameter, but they are still not small enough. And here's where things get a little interesting and fun. As these long ropes of Tootsie Rolls move through the machine, they start to wiggle and twist, creating a movement that the workers call the dancing snake effect. Imagine watching a long, stretchy candy rope moving along the production line, twisting and turning like a snake trying to dance. It's for sure a quirky moment in the candy-making process. After the dancing snake ropes move through the extruder, the candy is still too big for consumption, so it goes through more rollers and extruders, gradually being slimmed down to the correct size. These additional machines are designed to ensure the candy is consistent in thickness and shape. The most popular size of a Tootsie Roll is about ½ an inch in diameter. Getting the candy down to this size takes multiple stages of thinning and stretching. By the time it's slimmed down enough, the Tootsie Roll ropes are ready to be cut into those little pieces we're all familiar with. The final step in the process is for the ropes to be sliced into the small, bite-sized candies we love. This is done at lightning speed. The factory uses state-of-the-art machines that can cut and wrap the Tootsie Rolls at an incredible rate, 1,600 pieces per minute per machine. That's right, each machine wraps over 1,600 Tootsie Rolls every minute, and the factory has around 48 of these machines running simultaneously. If you do the math, nearly 77,000 Tootsie Rolls are getting wrapped every minute. It's a candy lover's dream. These high-speed machines are important in keeping up with the massive demand for Tootsie Rolls. Once wrapped, the candies are packaged and shipped to stores worldwide. While we know the basic ingredients of Tootsie Rolls, the exact recipe remains a closely guarded secret. After all, Tootsie Rolls have been around for more than 100 years, and part of their charm is that no one else has been able to replicate that unique texture and taste perfectly. What we know is that the perfect balance of ingredients like cocoa, sugar, milk, and corn syrup makes Tootsie Rolls special. When mixed and heated in those giant cookers, they create the iconic chewy candy that's been a favorite for generations. Even though the candy-making process has modernized, Tootsie Rolls have stayed the same. They're still made with the same basic ingredients, and each one still includes a bit of the original batch from 1908. That's something you don't hear every day. Tootsie Rolls have a long and quirky history, including a persistent rumor that wrappers featuring a picture of a Native American chief shooting an arrow at a star could be traded for a free Tootsie Pop. Even though the company has repeatedly denied this, the legend lives on, with fans still writing letters to ask for their free Tootsie Pops. The company's current president, Ellen Gordon, deeply connects to the brand. In 1950, she appeared in a Life magazine ad at 18 years old. Ellen ran the company after her husband, Melvin Gordon, passed away. Lastly, Frank Sinatra was such a fan of Tootsie Rolls that he was reportedly buried with a few of his favorite things, including some Tootsie Rolls. That's how much this candy means to some people. Tootsie Roll Industries, based in Chicago, Illinois, is one of the world's biggest candy makers. They produce over 65 million Tootsie Rolls daily. But before it became this huge, it all started in 1896 with a man named Leo Hirschfeld, an Austrian Jewish immigrant. He didn't just wake up one day and own a candy empire, though. He began with a small candy shop in Brooklyn, New York. Some people say he started working for a bigger candy company called Stern and Sahlberg and climbed the ranks, while others think he merged his little shop with theirs. Either way, he was already making moves in the candy world. Leo was a creative mind, and his first big hit wasn't Tootsie Rolls. It was something called bromangalan jelly powder. But soon enough, in 1907, he developed the famous Tootsie Roll, named after his 5-year-old daughter Clara, whose nickname was Tootsie. By 1908, these chewy chocolate treats were being sold all over, and it didn't take long before people were hooked. And did you know that Tootsie Rolls were the first penny candy to be individually wrapped, which made them super easy to sell and carry around? Over time, the company kept growing, and in 1922, Stern and Sahlberg, now called the Sweets Company of America, went public. Eventually, the company changed its name to Tootsie Roll Industries in 1966, and they've been rolling out millions of candies ever since. Tootsie Roll Industries caters to more than just the U.S. market. It sells its sweet treats in Canada, Mexico, and over 75 other countries. Most of its candy is made at its headquarters on Chicago's South Side, in what used to be the Dodge Chicago plant. It also has factories in Mexico City and Cambridge, Massachusetts, along with one in Spain which produces candy for export to Canada. Despite the growing competition in the candy industry, Tootsie Roll has proven its staying power. Its nostalgic value, combined with the continued innovation and expansion of its product line, ensures that this century-old candy will remain a favorite for years to come. Whether it's the original Tootsie Roll, a Tootsie Pop, or any of the brand's other confections, Tootsie Roll has undoubtedly stood the test of time, and there's little doubt it will continue to be a beloved treat for generations. Which fun facts about Tootsie Rolls did you like the most? Let us know in the comments below, and remember to hit like and subscribe to the channel.